5 o'clock.
All right.
Okay. All right. Agenda review and disposition.
Sure. In other discussion, if I can add lunch prices and credit card process.
This privilege of the floor. Sarah, Ted, you good right now? Okay, great. We'll revisit a little bit. Approval of May 2nd minutes. Which are attached. I did not see anything, so did anyone listen? You moved, Peter? Okay. Seconded by Paul. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay, 1%. Okay, great. Student report?
Not here.
It's not here, okay.
Graduated.
Principals? Yeah. All right, principals report. Mr. Parsons?
Whirlwind coming down to the finish line. Just to fill you in a couple of, we had a very successful underclass awards during the day last week, followed by student presentation of their senior video, which was extremely well done. Kudos to the multimedia department. And then that night, we did the scholarships and the academic senior awards. We held that in the gym. I'm glad we did, because we did have more people attending than anticipated. And again, very successful. Friday graduation practice, the weather held out for us. Out back, really wanted kudos to the park and building and grounds facilities people. The place looked impeccable. Jason Bergeron and his staff, but Rob Cormier and his crew had that place, I mean, just picture perfect. Looked like weather was going to be an issue. Kyler and I sat for a number of hours before we finally made the decision. We're going 9 o'clock. We were thinking about possibly moving at 10, but you know, we had that open window and we said, let's go, let's take it. And well attended, well over 2,000 people. I think I had it maybe an hour, 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Speeches were great, and we handled the park with no issues or any of that piece. So that went off well. The student last day instructional time is tomorrow. Their last instructional time, their final start on Thursday, and the makeup is on the 14th. And as I told you before, the teacher's last day will be the 19th. That's the Monday, November 19th. I've also passed out all the schedules for next year. So the kids have gotten those. The elementary school should have gotten theirs. Kids have been fast and furious going down, making the changes, which will impact, you know, I'll let it ride for a while and then take a look at the numbers and see if they need to be adjusted as we go forward. I do have some issues I'd like to get off the table during my report, if I may, if I don't block up other ones. And there are a couple of changes to the handbook, student handbook that's going out to print. Following these, there's only 2, and it's lockers and valuables and cell phone policy. As you know, we are getting rid of our lockers that have been here probably since long before I was here, that can't hold much anyway. Kids don't use them, and that's in the main the main part of the building. And we're replacing those with some beautiful display cases that is going to be well used by the athletic and art department as we move forward. And it will widen the hallways too, which is a nice piece. I do have 200 lockers still available, so what I gave, so you can see that students, you know, if they do want a locker, they can have one, and that can go through school council. And I have to keep that additional language in there. As you well know, the school has the right to go into any of those lockers at any time if I suspect anything going on. Same thing with when they park their cars out here too. So that's that piece. And the second piece is, again, this was the first year that we use this, and I looked at the data that was presented to me on the use of the cell phones, and kids that have a study hall, 1 or 2, approximately works out to maybe 138 minutes that they could be on that phone. And it had the support of 79% of the faculty that really do not want cell phones allowed in study hall. I mean, they have their own devices that we provide, so I am strongly recommending for next year that they can use cell phones in the learning commons. They can't call. They can use them in the hallway. Again, they can't call. And they can use them in the cafeteria at lunch. And sometimes in classrooms, the devices are used with the okay from the teacher because they're doing a project, whatever. But this will be a change. They will not be allowed to use them in the study hall. And the consequences are the same. So unless there's questions, I am looking for a motion for that to go into the handbook, the student handbook for next year.
All right, anybody have any questions? I know Emily and Rich have been reading.
So you would just need a motion to not allow cell phones during study halls?
And for the locker change.
And for the locker.
That's going in the handbook.
So a motion to actually adopt the new language
Yes.
in the handbook is what
Thank
you
you.
want.
Yep.
I would move we adopt the language for both policies that Mr. Parsons has submitted.
Seconded by
I'll second.
Bonnie. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? Abstaining. Barbara, yep, came in late, okay.
And the second piece is just for the handbook, and this come from the faculty senate. Faculty members are not permitted to use their cell phones for personal use during teaching class time, exceptions at the directions of myself. And that just goes into the faculty handbook. I need a motion for that too, please. Thank you.
That motion seconded by Christie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay.
Madam Chair, that's it for me,
Okay.
unless there's questions.
Okay. Any questions? No, everybody's good. Okay, committee progress reports. Teaching and learning is Peter, Bill? No.
You want an update?
Yes.
Yeah. The last meeting, Ms. Eccleston reviewed some of the work the staff have been doing with respect to curriculum and instruction, emphasis on the vision, and basically what PRHS students should look like, and the impact that it's having on the delivery, the design and delivery of curriculum. There was no action taken. It was an informative presentation.
Okay. And that's it? Okay. All right, Peter.
Memory serves, we discussed summer projects and approval, and we'll go into more detail in the discussion items.
Yep, and then the only other piece was to move the modification of facilities use costs to the full board. That's it.
I'll pass you out the original sheet I gave you.
Right on. Right on to the-
So let's go into discussion items. Summer, okay, summer project approval. Mr. Parsons passing that.
So at the, just do a quick recap, Mr. Parsons is moving faster than usual. It's his birthday, just in case you didn't know.
Oh,
Sorry.
I didn't hear. I gotta get my hearing done too.
She shared it's your birthday. The list in front of you is the list that was approved through committee a few weeks ago, unanimously to the full board. So looking at what you have left in this year's budget, and then Dan will review afterwards, we double-checked this afternoon. You are all set to approve the slate of projects that would then be knocked off your CIP plans, and then we could move forward from there. So you just need approval on that, unless there's any other questions.
okay.
And there's, and on at the bottom of that are 2 anticipated special ed programs that we do need to add in there.
That I had not anticipated before. They walked in on me.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Okay.
Where do we stand on, wasn't there heating and vent, some air conditioning things
Yes.
we're looking into?
Well,
We discussed that last meeting.
So you're purchasing the equipment.
Yeah, okay.
So that is the 75,000 that you're purchasing at the second to last item? Is that?
Yes, it is,
in the
ma'am.
same-
Yep, it is.
Same order?
Yep, phase 3,
And
phase
then
6.
we're hoping to do that, just pay for the labor out of local for next year so we can finish phase 3 finally.
All right, so who would like to make that motion? Okay, Bernie, seconded by Paul, to move the additional expenditures for this summer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay.
Great, thank you.
And end of the year finance review?
Yeah, so I have Dan here tonight to do a quick summary of the end of year finance review, just more specifically.
Thank you. Good evening. Following the most recent manifest, current and prior to any action taken tonight, I'm currently projecting a fund balance of approximately $1.229 million. And then that's largely due to savings in a variety of lines in the appropriation, as well as a small amount of revenue above budget. I would add that during the budget season this past winter, you committed the entirety of your previous year's retained fund balance, $306,178, to be a revenue in the coming year to reduce taxes, which means the current fund balance will be at 0 going into the end of this year. So I would strongly recommend that you have a motion to retain the maximum amount available for the end of this fiscal year. With the current numbers we have, the $1.229 million currently available, if we withheld the $306,000 estimation for a fund balance, if that's what the calculation works out to at year end, there'd still be, about $923,000 left over, which would leave the funding available for the list in front of you, and a small additional amount to be returned above the $306,000 that was committed during the last budget process to offset taxes.
Okay, any questions for Dan? No? Okay, and you need a vote on
You
that?
need a vote to,
My recommended motion would be to retain the maximum amount available to your retained fund balance.
Okay.
Not a dollar figure, just the maximum amount permitted.
Right, just because I can't give a dollar figure at this point in time, because it's calculated once the new town assessments come in. It's 2.5% of the net assessment.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Seconded by Peter. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? Okay. All right. Facility use policy amendment approval.
Fast.
so this was just a minor change to the policy, and that's to change the costs for folks to use the facilities, private organizations or whatever, for the custodial use and that type of thing. So if you're okay with us moving on that, that would be great. We'll just need approval on that.
Okay, so who would like to make that?
I'll make the motion.
Paul, okay, seconded by, so this motion is to approve the change in the policy.
I'll second.
Second, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed, abstaining? Great. Yeah. Thank you. Summer retreat, date and time.
So typically at our June meeting, we choose a date and time and to move forward with. It's usually around the July, during the day, the usually second or third week of July, typically around the 20th. I just didn't know if all your availability, if you're gone for a week at a time, or if that week looks good to you.
So maybe like the 18th, you're thinking, is that?
What day is the 18th on?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
We can do the 18th. Is that good for everybody? No?
I'm gone for a good part of July, so is there a Zoom feature to come in for pieces, or?
We
no?
could, yeah.
Does the 11th work better for you, or?
I think the 11th,
July's not a particularly good month for me.
July's off.
Not all, well, yeah, it's, so don't base it around me if it's going to be.
We can easily offer Zoom, I think, because it is just planning and stuff like that, so,
I do have a dentist appointment at 2. Usually it's in the afternoon.
okay.
Usually start at 2. Right, whatever you want.
18th or the 11th right now?
We're thinking of the 18th, if that works.
Oh,
You're good?
Yep.
It's good for the 18th.
I am.
Maybe not Christie.
At least not for the beginning. I
Okay.
can come after.
That's fine, it's,
You know, I don't anticipate more than an hour, but.
all right.
I should be in last night.
18th, Barbara, you good with that date?
My schedule only goes out to the 15th. I don't have
Oh,
my
okay.
work scheduled yet.
All right. So we'll tentatively put it in. For the 18th, usually around 2.
2 o'clock
Okay.
And then we'll work with Lisa on a time and
and a place.
place.
Okay.
Okay?
Great, and I know there was some question, we'll post that, people can come, you know, we do all that
We
we
had
need to
people
do.
from the public there last year,
Right,
so.
yeah. Just
Yep.
to reiterate that, because people think it's,
Yep.
all right, great.
It's an open board meeting.
Open board meeting, yes.
You said 2 o'clock?
Agenda is posted, correct.
Okay, and then lunch prices.
Dan?
Excuse me. So every year, we're required to go through this process called the PLE, or Price Lunch Equity Tool, for the federal government, and to participate in the National School Lunch Program. Really what the federal government is looking to do is to confirm that the money that they're providing for the kids who qualify for free or reduced benefit, lower income families, is not subsidizing the kids who don't qualify because they can afford full price. And their goal is to have the price that we charge fully paid students at least equal what they reimburse. So currently, your price for lunch is $3, and breakfast is $1.75, if my memory is right. And the federal government is reimbursing it at a rate of $3.56 for lunch, so it's much higher. So the cap is that they can't force you to increase your prices by more than 10 cents a year. So what I request is a motion, so they still see it, that we're not charging them for lunch because they're paying more than our kids could afford to pay on. So what I would ask is a motion to increase both breakfast and lunch prices by 10 cents per meal. And that would only affect those students who don't qualify for the benefit, the fully priced students. You know, the free students are still going to be free, reduced students are still going to be paid 40 cents for lunch and nothing for breakfast, because the New Hampshire government actually pays the reduced component for breakfast.
Okay, great, any questions?
I do have, does your actual price have to be within a certain percentage of what the federal reimbursement is? Is that the
Their
issue?
goal is to have it be at least as much, but there's a provision in the regulations that they can't force you to increase by more than 10 cents a year.
Okay, so this will comply with them?
It will.
Okay.
That's my job, I see, to keep you guys in compliance. It's a great, I mean, the program provides significant financial contribution to the food service program, so we want to stay in compliance.
Right. I'll make the motion.
For 10 cents?
To 10 cent increase
On breakfast and lunch, please, student price.
on breakfast and lunch student price.
Breakfast and lunch price.
second.
By Bonnie, all those in favor? Opposed, abstaining? Okay, great, and,
One other piece, I just had
Yeah.
one quick piece, and you don't need to vote on it, just more consensus. We would like to move forward with some options for parents to pay with credit cards, whether it be at school stores, lunch, and other events.
Activity fees, field trips, what have you.
We've been trying to figure out what the best way is to move forward. I know folks have asked us about doing Venmo or some of the apps which are not secure for our accounting purposes and auditing purposes, but the credit card piece we can move forward with, so we're going to try to leave that optional even for maybe the snack shack or something.
Well, that would be everything too, yearbooks,
Yeah.
everything goes through my office, which is
Yeah.
a ton, yep.
But we just have to work out the process of it, so I just wanted to see if all of you were okay with us moving forward with that. Head nod's fine. Okay, good, thank you.
parents will appreciate
Oh
it.
my gosh.
Okay, and other business we added on, so nothing else?
Nothing else.
Privilege of the floor? Yeah, Ted, you're good? Okay. Thanks for coming. Board member concerns? Anyone on the board have anything to bring up or maybe we haven't discussed? Okay. And a motion to go into non-well, who's going to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to go into non-public.
Personnel, second by Christie. Roll call, Sam?
Yes.
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 Yes. Didn't say no. Yes.
Thanks, Bill.